Marcus Aurelius reminded us that, no matter how bad things seem, we still get to choose how we see things, he said. If you decide you're not hurt, then you won't feel hurt. If you don't feel hurt, then you really aren't. He explained, Marcus's advice seems straightforward, but it's hard to follow if we're not sure why we feel hurt, or if we lack the knowledge to change. Fortunately, the teachings of the old Stoics offer this knowledge generally. How much people suffer often comes down to luck. This impact varies from person to person. The Stoics believe that those who are strong mentally suffer less than those who rely heavily on external factors for happiness. What harms one person may not bother another. Also, some people hold on to past hurts for years, while others move on and don't let such experiences spoil their present or future. And it's common for some to feel hurt by things that haven't happened yet, which seems strange. But that's exactly what happens with constant worrying. It's not the outside world and its happenings, including our bodies, that cause us pain, but rather our own thoughts, memories and imaginings about them. Therefore, or the secret to being tough lies in our inner strength, the only area we can fully control in our lives. Stoicism focuses on making the mind stronger instead of external things, which are less important and should affect our happiness as little as possible. But how does Stoicism help us do this? Marcus Aurelius' book Meditations offers insights that help us view our usual, worldly, upsetting experiences in a new light. His words encourage us to rethink how we deal with life's struggles, aiming to be strong, like a rock in the ocean waves. This video delves into various parts of meditations to show how we can feel less hurt. Not letting fortuna hurt us doesn't mean we can control destiny. Destiny will work as it pleases, and we can't change that. However, we do have power over how we react to it. We can either fight against it or welcome it. We can accept what fortuna brings even if it seems unlucky, or we can choose to be upset and angry, or we can find beauty in what happens in terms of being affected by others. There's not much we can do about their actions. We have the power to focus on improving ourselves and becoming tougher in the face of life's challenges, rather than fighting against the world or trying to control it. Marcus Aurelius said that if people hate or look down on us, it's their issue, not ours. Our job is to remain calm when dealing with such people and not let their negativity affect us. This approach applies to any misfortune we face in Stoic thought. Adversity doesn't hurt our well-being unless we allow it. As Marcus Aurelius puts it, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Thanks for watching. We could spend our lives fighting against the bad things and feel unhappy when we encounter it, yet it's still a part of life. Often it's the tough times, not the good ones, that inspire creative minds, like writers, filmmakers, artists, musicians, and poets, to create works that draw attention rather than hating difficult times. We could learn to appreciate them, just as we accept the crust of bread as much as the bread itself. The unattractive is always present with the beautiful. If we only embrace the beautiful and reject the unattractive, we're turning our backs on the whole of nature. If we start to accept bad times, just as we do good luck, we won't be as upset when things go wrong. Plus, we can often discover something positive, even in the worst situations. Bad luck can motivate us, make us aware of our weaknesses, shift our view of life, and help us become more understanding towards others. If we find beauty in everything that happens to us, then fate won't really be able to hurt us. We end up suffering when our judgments work against us. Since we can't control everything around us, we make things more important by judging them. This means things out of our control can affect our emotions. When something we don't like happens, we feel upset. Similarly, when something we enjoy goes away, we feel sad. The more intense our judgments, the more we're affected by fortuna, the unpredictable goddess of luck and fate. However, fortuna can't hurt us unless we allow it. As long as there is life, sickness and death are inevitable. And where there are people, some will have flaws not expecting. The impossible means giving up on trying to change the world. We can't. No matter how hard we try, the world always has its way. If we accept this, it makes sense to lower our expectations. What if we stop hoping for things to go our way and instead wish for them to happen as they naturally do? Would anything then be able to hurt us? There's a certain beauty in aging and imperfection. Just look at the cracks in an old wall or the irregular shapes of trees. These imperfect things often catch our interest. Marcus Aurelius described how bread splits open while baking, creating bumps that look nice and make us hungry. He noted that there's beauty in nature's imperfections. Things like an old face, a wrinkled apple, or the remains of a city can be seen as beautiful despite being worn down. He said, if someone truly understands and appreciates the way the world works, they will find beauty in many things, even ordinary ones. Such a person will enjoy looking at real wild animals just as much as artistic representations of them, and will see beauty in elderly people, noticing their unique charm and energy. So why can't we view life's challenges in the same way? Life often has a tough side. Many things occur that don't match what we expect. Take a romantic love story, for instance, which starts with dreams of a happy future, but might end in sadness, or consider a successful career built on experience and qualifications that gets cut short due to illness. And even if we're lucky and everything goes as planned, we all still face sickness and death. Eventually, if we're always fighting with the world, it's likely that our beliefs don't match up with reality. Often they're actually against it. To stop this constant fight, we need to adjust our beliefs. A good first step is to lower our expectations of the world. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, warns against demanding the impossible, calling it foolish. We can't hope for things that can't happen. Expecting the impossible is a plan bound to fail, yet we often do this slightly, hoping for things in ways that just aren't realistic or don't fit with how the world works. People who are overly optimistic often fall into this trap. Their optimism leads them to be hopeful and confident about the future, even when there's little reason to be being confident and hopeful is not bad. But when it's not based on reality, disappointment usually follows. Hoping for only good luck is unrealistic. Wanting to never get sick, never be insulted, or never be mocked is just not possible. We have as much control over these things as a rock has over the waves hitting it. If our minds expect too much, we'll always find life lacking, as reality can't meet these expectations. Marcus Aurelius often refers to destiny, meaning in Stoicism that everything happens as nature intends. So what we see as flaws is actually meant to be that way. People with negative traits like dishonesty, arrogance, jealousy, and lack of shame are a natural part of the world, just like good and bad happiness and sadness, wishing for a world without. These is against nature. He says, when you encounter someone's shamelessness, consider if a world without it is possible. It's not so expecting. It is unrealistic. Shameless people must exist in the world, and this is one of them. The same goes for people with other negative traits. Marcus Aurelius differentiates between physical feelings and the suffering created by our minds. He advises against fighting the actual pain and against labeling it. We might say that feeling pain isn't the same as suffering. If we don't see it as terrible, but just as a normal part of life that's neither good nor bad. There's a saying, pain is unavoidable, suffering is optional. Or we might think pain is already tough. Why worsen it with negative thoughts? He says, keep your judgment silent, even if your body suffers from wounds, burns, infection, or cancer. In other words, understand that what happens to everyone, good or bad, isn't necessarily good or bad. What occurs in any life, whether natural or not, isn't always natural or unnatural. While Marcus Aurelius talked about physical discomforts, his ideas also apply to other kinds of pain. For instance, when someone insults us, it's not the actual insult that causes pain, but our reaction to it. Our beliefs shape these reactions. If we believe nobody should insult us, we'll get upset when they do. However, if we accept that insults are a part of interacting with people, and we can't control others' actions or words, then we're less likely to be upset by them. Marcus Aurelius pointed out that we don't actually find harm in other people's thoughts or the changing world around us. Instead, it's in our ability to see harm where the problem lies. There are people who always seem to be at odds with the world. They get upset by almost everything: news, neighbors, lives and work issues. These people constantly complain about the world's faults, and in severe cases even think they'd be better off not living on this unhappy earth. Marcus, or IUS, believed the mind is in charge of the soul, a view that matches with Buddhist beliefs, where the Buddha said that the mind comes first. Basically, our thoughts shape our feelings. Take physical pain as an example. By struggling against it or fearing it'll get worse, we actually intensify our suffering. Our thoughts can end up causing more distress than the actual physical pain. Marcus Aurelius believed our minds should aim calm and unaffected by physical discomforts, whether mild or severe, while it's not exactly clear what he meant by agitations of the flesh. It appears he was talking about how we perceive physical pain. The thought of bodily harm is scary for many, and we often do a lot to avoid physical suffering. Sadly, there's no certainty in life that we'll always escape such pain. It's likely that we'll go through painful illnesses, accidents, or even face violence during our lives. Most of the time, we can't control these events. However, Marcus Aurelius believed that everyone can withstand whatever happens to them. While pain is a common part of life, we can choose if we add more pain to what's already there. How much more pain we feel is based on how we think about it. He said, "When pain enters your thoughts because of the connection between mind and body, don't fight the feeling. It's a natural thing, but don't let your mind start labeling it as good